So trust and believe that whatever situation you're in, no matter how bound you are, no matter how trapped, how crippled, locked up you are, it doesn't matter what you're ridden with, the pain, the sickness, it doesn't matter what you're waiting on. Trust and believe that when God speaks, when God utters a word, when He looks in your direction, He doesn't even have to speak. Him can just go so and things just happen. Trust and believe that when the time is right, He will do it. He will come through for you. It doesn't matter how long you're waiting. It doesn't matter what your situation is. He's not the type of God that we can place limits on. There's no limits to what God can do. The reason why He's silent, the reason why He's not responding is there is a plan. He has a plan. He has a plan for you. And it's the same thing in this situation. There was a plan. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's been a while, but I'm back. And in today's video, I want to talk about God's timing. Can I trust God's timing? Can I allow Him to, do what He said He's gonna do? A lot of the time we find ourselves in situations where we're waiting on God for something. We're waiting, and sometimes we're waiting out of patience, whether it be for an answer, for deliverance, for a job, for a house, for a land, for car, for something. And we get to a place where we're like, can I really trust God? Can I trust Him to do what He said He's gonna do? Like, I've been waiting out of patience. Sometimes it gets to a place where it feels as if time is running out. Like, time is catching up on us. Like, I need to do this now. I'm at this age, and so this is what comes next. Like, God needs to do this. And sometimes we get to a place where we have certain expectations of Him, where we expect Him to operate in this way. We expect Him to bring it about this way. We expect Him to do things in a way in which we have mapped out in our minds. And we get to a place where we want to take matters into our own hands because it seems as if He's not as faithful as He said He is. The things that we've read in His Word, maybe there's some kind of disconnect between this God and the God that we pray to. Like, maybe something is going on, something is going wrong, and we get to the place where we start to doubt Him. We start to lose hope, where we get so downcast, we feel downtrodden. We get to a place where we feel hopeless and we feel lost, because sometimes He's silent. Sometimes in these seasons, He's not even saying anything. He's not saying, it doesn't seem as if He's talking. It doesn't seem as if he's giving a word to us. It doesn't seem as if He has anything to say or to bring onto us. And we're like, God, where are you? What are you up to? What are you doing? What are you really doing to my life? I thought you said that your thoughts are to prosper me, not to harm me. I thought you said that everything that happens is to turn out for good. Where is the good? Why am I not seeing it? How are you allowing me to suffer? How are you allowing me to be in this situation on end without a word, without deliverance? Why do you allow me to get to this place where it feels as if I'm sinking, I'm drowning? But I want to remind you, and I want to reassure us today, that God's timing is always perfect. He's always right on time. He's never too late. He's never too early. He's never even too busy to listen to us and to listen to our concerns or to deliver to us that which He has promised. And it's the same thing in this passage that I'll be reading today, or I'll be referencing today, John 11. And John 11 speaks on Lazarus. It's a story that we should all know. And if we don't, I'll just summarize it a little bit. Now, Lazarus was a friend of Jesus. He was brother to Mary and Martha, who were also friends of Jesus. And Lazarus fell sick. And the scripture describes Lazarus and Mary and Martha as persons whom Jesus loved. He loved them dearly. And so he fell sick. He was in another part of the country, 25 miles away, healing persons, delivering persons, tending to other persons' needs. And here someone comes to Jesus to say, hey, Lazarus, the one who you love, is sick. He's on his deathbed. He's about to die. Like, you need to get going. And instead of Jesus attending and leaving immediately to go to attend to Lazarus, He stayed where he was 2 more days. And in the process, Lazarus died. And I'm sure it was the same thing with Mary and Martha. These persons were familiar with Jesus. They knew what he could do. They had certain expectations of him, and these expectations were as a result of certain things that they saw him do. In the same way, our expectations of God are because of things we've read about him and because of things we've seen him do in other persons' lives. So these persons were here anticipating, the things that Jesus could possibly do. And I'll just reference some of the miracles that he did throughout his time, the things that they saw him do to say, okay, yeah, maybe he can do this, maybe he can do that. So one of the miracles was he turned water into wine, and in this process, he didn't even put his hands on anything. He didn't do anything. He literally just told them, yo, gather this, gather that, put this together, put the water into that, pour it out, and immediately as they poured it out, there was wine. In another situation, there was a man at a well, and this man was lame, he was paralyzed, he couldn't move. And what would happen is an angel would come and touch the water, and at a certain time, and what would happen is persons would rush to the water. Whoever went to the water, they would be healed. But because this man was lame, he was unable to go to the water. And so what would happen is that the persons who could walk would reach the water before him and hence get their healing and deliverance. So this man was there for years, 38 years to be exact, by this water, by this pool, paralyzed. And Jesus just said, get up and walk. And that was it. Now, in another situation, a nobleman, a man of high stature in the society, came to Jesus to say, hey, my son is dying, he's about to die, come and help him. And he just said, go, your son has been made whole, you can go. There's another case where there was a man who was blind from birth, and he came to Jesus. Jesus just took up some mud, placed it over his eyes, sent him to a river to wash off, and he washed it off, and he was seeing clear. And at that time, there are many types of miracles that Jesus did. He even fed 5,000 just with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. So they had expectations of Jesus, rightfully so, because of the things that they had seen him do, the things they've heard about him. And so they're like, okay, Jesus can do this. So I'm sure they were expecting him to turn around, because it said it's someone who he loved. They expected him to turn around, to come to the house. They probably didn't expect him to turn around. They expected him to say, oh, just tell him that his faith has made him whole. But no, Jesus didn't come. Jesus stayed where he was, it said, for 2 more days. And by that time, Lazarus had died. And so I'm sure Mary and Martha and us likewise, they found themselves in a situation where they're like, okay, what did I do wrong? According to them and according to what Jesus would have normally done, they would have been like, we followed the program, we sought him, we went to him. I'm sure he could have done it. This is nothing too big. This is nothing too, impossible for him to do. I've seen him do it before. He can do it now. And so they may have been wondering, what was he up to? What was more important than tending to someone that he loved? What was more important than him rushing back home to heal or sending a word to heal? He didn't even send a word. I'm not sure if he did, but the passage did not make mention of him saying, oh, hey, tell him I soon come. It said he stayed there 2 more days. So I must have been saying, what is he up to? And I'm sure at the moment when they saw him take his last breath, all hope would have been lost. All hell broke loose, and they're like, go and look see him outside, go and look see him up the road I come. And he was nowhere to be found. He was there tending to other persons. And I'm sure also the disciples around him were probably like, hey, Jesus, remember they came and said, the one that you love is sick, Lazarus. Like, hey, remember to, Lazarus, go on, But he did what he went there to do. Why? Why did he not answer? Why did he not come? Why did he not come in their timing, according to the time that would have been on time for them? Why? This is because he had a plan. He had a greater plan. And so it may be for a lot of us, we're in a place where we're like, oh God, I'm your humble servant, I'm your humble child. I'm the one that you love. I read it in your words. You say you love me. Why are you allowing me to be in this situation? Why are you not responding? Why are you not giving me an answer? Why has there been no deliverance? Some of us, we haven't been waiting for days. We've been waiting for years, for months on end, for years on end, with no solution, with nothing. And we're like, what is he up to? And sometimes in the middle of us waiting, things start to plummet. Things start to get worse. And we're wondering, yo, are you not seeing what's happening around me? Or how are you allowing this to happen to someone that you say you love? How, like, what is going on? What am I not doing? You know, what is going wrong? Something must be going amiss, because... And so we find ourselves in a place where sometimes we lose hope. And we start to doubt, and we start to pity ourselves, and we say, you know, maybe I deserve this, maybe I should be in this situation. Maybe it's something that I did that caused this. Maybe it's something that I did that caused this. Why else would he not be answering? Why else would he not be responding? And oftentimes it's the case where God has a plan. The reason why he's silent, the reason why he's not responding, is there is a plan. He has a plan. He has a plan for you. And it's the same thing in this situation. There was a plan. And so with that, I'll just read a few verses which highlights his plan. Verse 4, it says, when Jesus heard that, this is when he heard that he was sick, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now I'll continue to read some more to highlight more of his purpose. Verse 11, it says, these things said he, and after that he said unto them, my friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest in sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. So here it says that it was for even his disciples, for them to believe, not only his disciples but those around him, because a lot of time at that point in time, there are a lot of persons who weren't believing that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. And so it was for their faith, it was for the building of their faith, the testing of their faith, for even Mary and Martha's faith as well, to know that they can depend on Jesus to do the extraordinary. And so here we see that a lot of the times it's for our faith to be built. We're in these situations where faith can be strengthened, so that we can know that we can depend on God. No matter how long it takes, we can depend on him. If it takes him 10 days, if it takes him 10 months, if it takes years, we can depend on him. We can have that faith that he is going to come through. And there should be no doubt in our minds that he will do what he said he will do. And so a lot of the times, these situations are for the building of our faith, for his name to be glorified, for us to be confident in the fact that his word is true. When he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And when he says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivered them out of them. And it didn't say one or two are the affliction, it said many. So it means that a lot of things will come up against us. There will be a lot of trials, a lot of situations. Many are the situations that come up against the righteous, but what? The Lord will deliver them. So this is so that we can have confidence in the fact that the Lord will deliver us, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hopeless the situation seems, no matter how it seems as if we're sinking deeper, as if there's no way help. He is there. And something that I want to highlight is the fact that while Jesus was there tending to the other persons, he was cognizant of what Lazarus was going through. He knew. In fact, he knew the moment he died. He said, hey, he's dead now. It's time for us to make our way back. He knew, he was aware. So a lot of the times we think that God is not aware. He is not hearing. He doesn't know what is happening to us. He is aware. He knows. His eyes are upon us. He knows what we're going through. He knows what you're going through. He sees what you're going through. And another thing is that he feels it. When Jesus went to, and this touches me, when Jesus went to meet Lazarus, or when he went to meet Mary and Martha, it said he wept. Let me turn to the part. It said, when Jesus therefore saw her weeping, this is Mary, and before this Mary said, yo, if you had been here, he would not have died. And he saw her crying. It said, when he saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came to her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, behold, how he loved him. So sometimes we may think that God doesn't love us because of the things that we go through, because of the trials, because of the situation. How can you love me and I'm going through so much? How can you love me and you're not delivering me? How can you love me and you're not saving me? How can you love me and I'm still sinking deeper into this situation? I'm still sitting here waiting. I'm still not hearing from you. You still have not given me what you've promised. How can you say you love me while I'm going through these things? But it's not that. He doesn't. Right here it shows it. Jesus cried, and the persons around were able to testify that this was someone that Jesus loved. But as I said, he has a plan, and a lot of the times these plans, they're on a certain trajectory, a certain timeline, a certain path line. So this has to happen, and then this happens, and this happens before our situations get resolved. But because we're so into it, we're so deep into our situations, we can't see it. Sometimes we're so deep into it, we forget his promises. We forget about what he said. Sometimes we're so deep, we can't even hear him. We can't hear, our spirits can't be uplifted or be reminded of the things that he has said, because we've gotten to a place where it's like tunnel vision, and we can't see to the left, we can't see the right, we can't hear anything. Everything is just dark around us. We're not seeing, we're not hearing, nothing is happening. Another thing to note is that a lot of the times there are spiritual things attached to our situations. Ephesians 6, it says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. And what this essentially means is that some of the situations that we're fighting against in the physical, they're as a result of things in the spiritual. So they present itself to us in the physical, but really and truly the things that we're battling against are things that we cannot see. They're powers. So just as how you have God and his angels who are fighting for us, you have the devil and his angels who are fighting against us. So a lot of the times there are wars, there are battles, there are certain things that are going on that we cannot see, and because of that it takes a while for us to get to that place, but we will get to that place. And as I've said before, a lot of the times these things there's certain things and there are certain steps that needs to happen. And I think of the Israelites when they were in Egypt. Moses was the one that was to deliver them. They were in Egypt for 430 years. So by that point in time, a lot of persons would have died. And for the older persons, it would mean that the person who was supposed to deliver them was not even born as yet. So certain things had to happen. The Pharaoh at the time had to make a decree that they were killing boys under a certain age, or killing all the baby boys. The mother had to let him go. Pharaoh's daughter had to take Moses on. Then Moses ended up seeing the injustice that the Israelites faced. He killed someone, he ran away. While he was there, that's when God came to him, and then God told him that he was going to deliver the people, but he was doubtful. So he said, hey, I'm going to send your brother to help you. So there's a lot of things that had to come together to fall in place for them to get their deliverance, for them to come out of Egypt. A lot of the times it's the same thing with us. And so it simply means that we have to wait. We have to trust God and wait. We have to trust that he can do it. We have to trust that he will do it when the time is right. But trust and believe that when that time comes, he will do it. When that time comes, he will deliver you. When the time comes, he will set you free. When he says loose, be thou loose in the name of Jesus, you will be loose. In the same way, when he went to the grave and he called Lazarus' name, he said, Lazarus, come forth. And there was Lazarus walking out, bound, and he said, loose him, and he was loosed in Jesus' name. So trust and believe that whatever situation you're in, no matter how bound you are, no matter how trapped, how crippled, how locked up you are, locked down, how burdened, no matter how depressed, how downcast, how sad. It doesn't matter what you're ridden with, the pain, the sickness. It doesn't matter what you're waiting on. Trust and believe that when God speaks, when God utters a word, when he looks in your direction, he doesn't even have to speak. Him can just go so and things just happen. Trust and believe that when the time is right, he will do it. He will come through for you. It doesn't matter how long you're waiting. It doesn't matter what your situation is. And that's what happens with a lot of us. We put limits on God and we think that he cannot do this and he cannot do that. He cannot deliver me. He cannot work out the situation for me. And that isn't the case. He's not the type of God that we can place limits on. There's no limits to what God can do. There's no limit to the mountains he can move. There's no limit to the things that he can break apart, to the things that he can tear down, to the things that he can destroy. There's no limits to the powers that he can cast to the left and cast to the right. There's no limits to what he can do for you. And so you just have to believe. You just have to have that hope, that faith, that no matter if he doesn't answer, it doesn't matter if he doesn't say a word, there are words in this book, in his holy book. There are words, there are things that we can reassure ourselves of, that we can remind ourselves of, that we can speak over ourselves to encourage ourselves in the Lord. And a lot of the times in a lot of these situations, we just need to keep praying. Keep praying, keep interceding, keep going before him. He's hearing you in this situation. It's not that Jesus didn't hear them when he came. He heard them. He heard them. But what? He had a plan. And with this plan, his name was glorified. God's name was glorified. We're able to know that whatever situation, no matter how dead, no matter how hopeless it is, God can bring us out. We're able to have faith. Those around him were able to have faith that God, and think about it. Lazarus was dead for 4 days when he arrived. Mighty God, the maggots. In fact, when he came to the tomb and he told them to roll the stone away, Martha was like, Amir was like, I'm kind of stink now still. Was like, you sure you want to do that? Like, he's kind of like in the state of someone who's been dead for 4 days, supposed to swell up, swollen, maggots, grime. His hair supposed to have been falling off, flesh falling off of his skin. Mighty God. And he resurrected him. I can imagine even in the minds, there may be even some around us who may be doubting God and doubting what God is doing in our lives. Because a lot of the times persons will look at us as Christians and say, hey, then how she serve God and she looks so, like, how him not do not fear? Like, how is she still sick? Isn't she the one that's a Christian? No, she said she serve God. Like, what is going on? And then they look at us and think that nothing is happening. just because they can't see it. But trust and believe that God is always doing something. He's always working something out. He's always fighting on our behalf. And with that, I just want to share a little revelation that God gave unto me some time ago. So some time ago, I was in a situation, and I was in the same place too, where I was like, God is not hearing me. God is not doing anything. What are you up to, God? I can't see you moving. I can't see you doing anything. I'm praying and nothing is happening. I'm praying and I'm still in this situation, and it seems to be getting worse. And he showed me in a dream, and I'm telling this to you so that you can understand, or you can see certain things a little bit differently. Where in the dream he showed me a big field. I was brought on top of a field and I was looking down, and there were a lot of persons fighting on horses, a lot of people fighting a big field with a lot. And then I was brought to another, and I was shown the same thing, and then I was brought to a next one. But the difference on this one is that there was a white horse in the midst. There was a white horse in the midst, and someone in white on the horse fighting against the bunch of persons. I can't even count how many persons they were there. There were a lot of persons. And in that moment, it was him showing me that this is what I am doing. This is what I'm busy doing. This is what my angels, the angels discharged to protect you, to assist you, are doing. They are fighting. And the amount of persons I saw on the field, I was mind blown. The amount of persons, a lot of the times we think that God isn't doing anything, and we think that our prayers aren't doing anything, but he's there fighting. He's out there fighting, and we just have to continue praying. We have to continue trusting and believing. And he brought me to a side, or to a place in the dream and there were a lot of persons. There are a few persons beside me who were at the side looking on, and we're there looking on at the battle. We weren't fighting. We weren't doing anything. And what came to mind was stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which is the exact same thing that God said to the Israelites when Pharaoh was up against them, when Pharaoh was about to come up against them. God said, stand still. And in that moment, all of Pharaoh's armies, everyone who was against God's people, they were destroyed, utterly destroyed. Stand still and see the salvation of God. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Keep praying. Keep fasting if you're fasting. Keep trusting. Keep believing. He's going to come through for you. Trust and believe that when God decides to move, when he decides to move, everything changes. Everything changes. Everything rearranges. Everything shifts. Trust and believe. Don't force yourself up trying to figure out what he's gonna do, trying to figure out when, where, how, why. You lose your mind sometimes trying to figure out the things that God will do for you, the way in which God will deliver you. You just need to do your part. Keep armored, keep praying. As I said, keep seeking. Don't force yourself up trying to play God, trying to figure it out, trying to map it out, trying to plan, trying to do this. No. Allow him to blow your mind. Allow him to surprise you. Trust and believe that he's there, ready to move and to act on your behalf when the time is right. A lot of the times too, we may be tempted to go back to the past, to go back to where we're coming from, because we don't see God doing anything. But don't go back. Stay where you are. Stay with the Lord. Keep trusting, and he will. Trust and believe he will come through for you. Now, that is all that I have to share with you today. I hope you were encouraged. Be blessed, and remember to share and to like and to comment and to subscribe, whatever it is that you can do. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Jireh